right now in North America, I'm one of about 5 people hand making couture costume jewelry. I'm self-taught. So this started 25 years ago at my kitchen table, playing with a soldering wand, playing with an acetylene torch, and teaching myself the principles. And it was just through a complete fluke that I met somebody who's now a lifelong friend, Robert Sorrell in New York. I met him at a fundraiser, and I went with him 25 years ago to a wholesaler and walked into this Aladdin's cave of stones and findings and chains, and he literally explained to me what stuff was. And at the time, and this is going back 25 years ago, it's funny to say I had $1,800 room on my Visa card at the time, and I maxed it out and I bought stones and findings with no idea what to do with it. And I came home and I spent 6 months at my kitchen table playing, experimenting, learning to solder, learning to use a torch, and that's really how I started my craft. So I gave a brooch I made to one of my girlfriends, Evelyn. She wore it on her coat. She was in Holt Renfrew during the winter wearing it on her coat, and all the buyers at Holt Renfrew just happened to be on the floor and asked her who did her brooch. And then they contacted me and they brought me in for a trunk show, and it sort of morphed from there over the years. And then 18 years ago, I quit my full-time job to do this full-time for 18 years. And I love what I do. I love what I make. I love the stones and the materials I work in. As an artist would say, they like the medium they work in. So I like the medium of costume and vintage stones. From finding the vintage stones, figuring out the design, building it, having it plated, and then having my assistant Jen set the stones to the point that it's finished. I love the whole process. My mother's oldest sister, Auntie Marie, used to wear a very large emerald ring when I was a kid. And her and my Uncle Eric bought it in Istanbul years ago, and it was a 10-carat emerald ring. She was English and very eccentric. And she, as a kid, when she was visiting, she used to take off this emerald ring and let me play with it. And I loved the color of the emerald and the intensity of it. And it's really funny, almost every collection, there's emeralds in my collection, so I've been very influenced by it. And somehow along the way, it became my favorite color. And my wardrobe of clothes, I've got a lot of green clothing, and my logo's green on my packaging, and it just became the aesthetic that I feel comfortable in. Crazy thing is, and this is I guess part of my creative process, I very rarely sketch. I do sketch and I can sketch, but I tend to see the finished piece of jewelry in my head in 3D and in color, and I sit down at the bench and I start to build. And usually 9 times out of 10, it looks exactly like it did in my head. You know, sales are great, money's great, press is great. It's about your personal satisfaction and your personal happiness. And I have a very amazingly supportive husband who really, really loves what I do and is always amazed by what I do. But it's personal satisfaction and happiness. I think at the end of the day, when you lock the door and set the alarm and walk home, it's about how great you feel with what you've accomplished. The Dolce Vita, sweet life, doing what you love with wonderful things, great people, a good bottle of wine, cut flowers, and just living life and enjoying it and giving thanks for what you have.